channel. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Now today we are going to talk about mergers, acquisitions, alliances, and takeovers, and how this can actually protect you from any political instability that's happening in the country, any changes to legislation, basically anything that happens outside of your control. That is what I'm going to be talking about, so tune in if you're interested. Okay, so now the first thing we're going to talk about is mergers. I don't know if you guys know what a merge is, or you've heard about two companies merging, which is basically just two companies voluntarily joining together to form one new legal entity. An example of this would be Kalahari.com and Takealot. These are two South African companies. They merged together in 2015 because they were one of the two leading e-commerce stores in South Africa. So they just decided it would be better if they merge, right? So when these companies merge together, they still have the equivalent value of shares in the new merged company. The only difference is that they've just one big legal entity now, a new legal entity. So it can definitely protect you from any political instability, any changes made to the legislation, any even if there's a new government that is coming into power. Sometimes businesses have to adapt to this because a new government definitely does control the way a country is run, and in some cases this may affect your business. So when you're joining in with one company, with two companies, to make one company, these are two huge companies both in South Africa. Why not just merge it? They will take over the e-commerce industry in South Africa, which can lead to more profits, because where one company is lacking, the other company might actually have what they are lacking, so they can just help each other out that way and just become one legal entity, because it's honestly a win-win situation, right? It really is a win-win situation. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about takeovers. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard about what a takeover is. A takeover is basically when one company, the bidder, purchases another company, which is the target. This can happen against the will of the target, or it can happen willingly. Sometimes it happens out of against the target's interest, because the one company bought shares until they have controlling interest in the company, and now they just are able to acquire the whole company to themselves, even though that target company doesn't want so. But this happens when you buy shares from a company, because shares are really powerful. Shares give you the ability to earn a percentage on the company's profits, right? So obviously the higher the shares you have, the more control you have over the company. So if you continuously buying shares until you have controlling interest, it means imagine if a company were to buy 70%, they start off buying 10% shares, they go on to buy 15%, then now it's in a position where they have so many controlling shares. There are different shareholders. If each individual shareholder is from that other company and they bought shares, they are going to have controlling interests, obviously, because of the voting power that will be right there. And most of the shareholders who earn such a huge share in the company are going to have major decisions, and obviously more decisions to make in the company, right? So takeovers do protect two companies. I guess it really depends on what you want, but some companies choose to do it willingly, other times it isn't against their will. Right? So now the other type of way that two companies can join together is through acquisitions. This is when one business buys another business at an agreed price. This is completely willingly. An example of this would be Telkom. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Telkom. Telkom bought BCX. BCX was a company that was started in the 90s, and I think around the 2010s, Telkom went on and acquired BCX, bought it. And another example of this, I think, would be Facebook. Facebook bought Instagram. Facebook bought all these other different platforms. That's another example of it. So now they can now completely own the whole platform. They make decisions on it and everything. So acquisitions, mind you, that mergers usually happen. Acquisitions usually happen with is a private companies. I'm not too sure. I'll look that up again. But mergers, acquisitions are a lot more smoother, but they can also definitely protect you from any political instability, because two makes better than one, like they said, right? Okay, so now the last one would be alliances. When you're in an alliance, this happens when two companies agree to work together. Two companies agree to work together to so that they can work on their objectives, right? This is when two companies decide that they want to work together, but they are still separate legal entities. Just so you remember that they are still two separate legal entities. They are not one company. They just work together so that, because they share the same vision, interests, the two companies share the same vision and interests, and they have a place where they want to be, and they believe that one company can help them get there. So that's why they believe that they should just be in alliance, right? They can choose to end the alliance at any time they want, but these different ways of joining two companies together, it does protect you from political instability. It does help you have a huge advantage against other competition. There are other ways that you can protect your business that is way out your control, and you should always think about this, because you have to remember that your company or business is working in an external environment. The internal environment is just a business, but there's also the government, and you have no control over what happens in the economy, right? So my next video, I'll explain to you guys what exactly the other ways you can protect your company against things that are way out of your control. I'll explain them in my next video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Goodbye.